The year is 2023. I am fighting a singing Dracula with a fully automatic stake gun. I am dodging lightsabers and cat sharks in the post-apocalypse. I am basking in the glorious vaporwave aesthetics of ancient Greece. But most of all, I am chopping goblins. Oh, wait a minute. I'm getting word that the goblins are literally called chop goblins because that's what they do. Nevertheless, I feel like the amount of destruction I'm causing can easily be qualified as chopping goblins. Chop Goblins is the latest release by the developer of Dusk and Iron Lung. Now, I've done videos on both those games over the years, but Iron Lung really blew up in a big way on YouTube last year, so that's probably a bit more fresh in people's minds. But that was a slow, brooding horror experience, while this is an over-the-top arcadey shooter. If you're familiar with Dusk, this game is a lot like that, distilled down into a short, goofy, time-traveling adventure. It feels like jumping right back into some classic early 2000s games, like Crash Bandicoot, Gex, Time Splitters, and the like. You've got a very basic story that holds together a variety of levels across the most random settings and time periods imaginable. Why did early 2000s games always have a Halloween level? Or a medieval level? Or a cyberpunk level? Because telling a big, serious video game story wasn't always the focus back then. And I kinda love that Chop Goblins brings this back in the best way possible. Games have trended towards being a lot more cinematic over the years, and as such we've lost a lot of the carefree titles like these. Sometimes I want to play a game I'll be questioning for years to come, while others I just want to fight 10 goblins on a car in a boss battle. Chop Goblins is a short experience, only about 30 minutes in length, but it does feature a handful of modes and even a New Game Plus. For comparison, Iron Lung was around the same length and price, but that's definitely a one and done game. Although I do think Iron Lung will have more staying power over time because it very effectively elicits some strong reactions from most people who play it. Chop Goblins, while containing much more gameplay and even having a handful of memorable moments, will probably be the lesser known title of the two released last year. But I still think it's worth a play if you're into this sort of thing. There's a surprising amount of content jam-packed into such a short experience. You'd probably think that a small game like this would have 2 to 3 weapons and enemy types and maybe a boss at the very end, but there's actually a pretty nice variety of new stuff constantly being thrown at you all the way to the end of the game. Each of the 4 stages introduces new weapons, new enemies, unique bosses, and of course vastly different visuals. From the Halloween vampire castle to the vaporwave take on ancient Greece, I really enjoyed how dynamic everything was. It's pretty clear that the dev had a lot of fun coming up with all these wild ideas and smashing them together into one semi-coherent project. And I'm all for more games like this in the future. Like I said before, it's great that game devs are pulling off serious games nowadays, but we still need stuff like this to balance it out. A great example of this is the devs' decision to not have a dog petting feature in the game. It seems like an innocent feature, but it's become a staple in modern games so that they can get reposted on Twitter and Reddit for free engagement. But wait a second. Despite those tweets, I managed to find a way that you can pet the dog in Chop Goblins. Now that I think about it, maybe it was better without the dog petting after all. But don't go pick up your pitchforks just yet. That clip actually isn't possible in the real game. Just like I hacked Iron Lung a couple months ago, I was able to pull off a similar trick with this project. By exploiting a security flaw, I was able to inject some code, import my own assets while the game was running, and, with the help of the in-game GIB effect, create the clip I just showed you. You don't even want to know how many days I spent making that 15-second meme a reality. Now, I did consider doing a full video on the inner workings of this game, making jokes, going out of bounds, and taking a look at the code, but I wasn't sure if that's something that people would want to see. I mean, hacking Iron Lung was an obvious choice, because that game hides so much from you. But Chop Goblins pretty much lays it all on the table, and it isn't super long, so I'm not sure if there'd be a lot to find. So my current plan is to continue working on my next project, but if there's enough demand, I might take a deeper look inside Chop Goblins later on. Also on that topic is the question of YouTube Shorts. I know people have all sorts of opinions on Shorts, but a lot of these little hacks and mods I've done would easily fit into that format. Should I post clips like that dog petting one as Shorts in the future? Or should I just keep them on Twitter like I do now? Obviously it wouldn't impact my full-length videos either way, but I'm just curious about what people think of the idea. Anyways, Chop Goblins is up on Steam for like $5 right now. If you like these sort of games, buying them is the best way to support the devs making more in the future. But maybe you prefer Iron Lung to FPS games, or maybe these retro throwbacks just aren't your thing at all. No worries, I cover a very wide range of games on here, so even if you aren't interested in this stuff, you never know what's up next. As always, if you want to help support the channel, then subscribing helps out a lot. Keep on chopping those Chop Goblins, folks, and I'll see you all in the next one.